Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Amber Army YouTube. So, our loyal viewers, I have a new bit of content for us now. We're going to start doing vidcasts, and quite a I wouldn't say a tough subject, but a really, really gut-wrenching subject to start things off. So, basically, today's vidcast is going to be what the F happened to our season. And basically what we're going to be talking about is what the fuck happened to our season and then what the fuck we need to do next year to put it right and challenge a little bit better. So joining me today, we have on my left, I don't know how you guys can see him, but it's young Oliver Allen. You'll recognise him from the match previews of previous. Ollie, I believe college work and things like that have prevented you from doing them recently?
Yeah, obviously there's a little hiatus in the match previews. Lots of things going on, college, mental health, just things like that. They kind of take over priority. I'm definitely returning to content next season. I've got a few ideas, but it's going to be back in front of the camera.
Yeah, good man, good man. We'd be looking forward to seeing you a little bit more next season. And a fresh face for us is young Kian Leith. Kian, welcome to the channel, my friend.
Thank you. First, I think, when we were in COVID, it's the first time we've probably been on it. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, Kian is our senior drummer over the county now as well. So the mantle is his, has passed from Rob Taylor, of all people, Big Rob, over to young Harry, then over to young Ellis, and now it's over to young Kian. So good luck with that. I mean, you had a good crack at it this season.
Yeah, it's been good, definitely. It's good to see a lot of new faces over there as well.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, but I suppose we'll get into that. You know, obviously the support this season and for next season. But the sticking thing for me is what happened to this season, because it did go off a bit of a cliff edge. So, Ollie, what's your thoughts? Because the Hartlepool game is where it all stemmed from. Up until then, it was buzzing.
Yeah, well, I think for the most part, what people have to realise is James Roby is working with a Michael Flynn squad. He came in halfway through the season. He's had one transfer window to work with. He brought in 3 players, Josh Taff, Rob Street and James Waite. He's still got a majority of Flynn's players. He's yet to really bed in a tactic, and he's still trying to figure out where this team can go, what he can do with it. So I think that's what a lot of people have got to realise. It's not a James Roby Newport County we're looking at. We're still looking at James Roby managing Michael Flynn's Newport County.
Yeah, of course. Someone made a comment to me the other day and basically said that if Michael Flynn was still the manager, we'd have made the playoffs. Would you agree with that assessment? Because I disagreed with that one.
Go on, Ollie. Yeah, go on.
I think it's a tough one to say because obviously hindsight's a great thing, and maybe if Flinny stayed, we would be in the playoffs and we'd be in a better situation. But I feel like Flinny leaving was the right thing to do at the right time. He'd been ground down by the last 3 seasons, the heartache of missing out on 2 playoff successes and the one off season we had in between. I feel like he just ran out of steam, and you know, obviously people can make the argument that we would have been in the playoffs with Flynn, but what's to say that we would have been in mid-table with Flynn or in a relegation scrap with Flynn? You just can't really make that prediction.
Yeah, it is very much a hindsight thing. What do you think then, Kian?
I laughed at the start of that because how anyone can predict football like that off the back of their hands can 100% be sure of it is crazy. But listen, maybe, we would have been with Michael Flynn being in the playoffs, but I don't think with Flinny we would have won that 5-0 against Stevenage and would have won Bristol the first time around as big as gap as we did. I think it would be a lot more 1-0s and a lot more 0-0 draw points. But that's the way Flinny liked to play, and that's how we got us into 2 playoff finals over 3 seasons. But I think with Roby is not better football in the aspect of more points coming in, but I think they've had the same flow of points coming in some ways and better, some ways and worse. I think Flynn wouldn't have allowed us to concede 3 goals against Hartlepool. I think it would have been a draw or a scrappy 1-0 win. However, I think either of them, I think we still would have been in the same place. I thought after that 1-0 win against Swindon, which I can see as being a very Michael Flynn type of game, a last minute, just get around the keeper. I thought that was us up, to be honest. But listen, the injuries haven't helped, but I don't think we actually do have an excuse this season. I think it's more of an aspect of just a bit of hard luck and just fell short.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point about the luck because, I'll give you the Colchester game, for example. We were 1-0 up, and there was a deflected goal that probably took about 3 different ricochets before it went into the goal. Absolutely nothing Joe Day could do about that. Things like that tended to happen to us quite a lot in the running, I felt. I don't feel like we got much of the rub of the green. I think Exeter's goal when they beat us was quite, a fortunate goal. I thought, at the other end, things could have dropped for us, which they didn't. Telford's,
what didn't help? Sorry, Taff, go on.
Yeah, so any other game, that's a goal from Telford right at the end. And we'd have got a draw out of that. But I just felt like things just didn't go our way in them games either. Referee decisions like Bradford away, Cameron Norman. Things just didn't really go our way. I mean, what do you guys think?
What doesn't help is someone quoting Joe Day as Joke Day on social media.
Oh.
It doesn't help, we have a connection with Joe Day. I won't go into that too much, but it really doesn't help. And if I'm having, it was just the one person, but it does make a player feel crap, and it doesn't help the aspect. The game's done. If you could say to them half time, this is how you can improve. You quickly grab a 2-second chat with them, that might help. But after the game's done and dusted. We do know that every player this season has made a mistake. If I thought the only time Joe Day could have prevented something from happening is when he come off the line at Colchester away. But at the end of the day, you learn from that, and has he done it again? No. If you did it 3 times in a row, you would be like, what's going on here? But at the end of the day, every single player on the pitch, every single person in life, whether you play football or not, you make a big mistake.
Yeah.
And calling him Joke Day really, really doesn't help.
Yeah, that pissed me off. That did. Joke Day. That's for someone who's been such a stalwart for this football club over the years. Goalkeeping the way he did in the Great Escape campaign, for example. Coming into the team when Lenny Pidgley, when he came on loan initially from Peterborough, and playing as well as he did then, and being such a good goalkeeper. I mean, goalkeeping us to a playoff final, obviously against Tranmere.
And he did make a mistake with that goal either, did he? Could have made a lot of mistakes there, especially with that big, Norwood shot, that volley at the start where he just smacked and he made a terrific save. We do owe Joe Day a lot. We owe every one of our players a lot, but definitely, particularly the likes of Joe Day and Mickey Dimitra, we do owe them both a lot.
I think it's a good point that Kian makes with criticising the goalkeeper. Obviously, as he mentioned, every player's got a mistake in them at least one a game. But with goalkeepers, we've seen it over the last 3-4 seasons. If you switch between them, the whole team isn't the same team. What you have to do is you have to look at both goalkeepers, in this case, Joe Day and Nick Townsend. You have to admit that they've got pros and they've got cons, and that's football, that's life.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You've got to pick the goalkeeper and you've just got to stick with him.
Yeah.
Okay, it's excellent that we've got brilliant backups, but we need to choose which goalkeeper is going to be the number one keeper. You can't bounce between 2 keepers because it confuses the back line, and then if you've got a confused back line, you've got a confused midfield, and the team falls apart. Personally, I think Joe Day should be the number one keeper next season, but I'm not picking the team James Rowbury is. But once he has got its number one keeper, what we need to do as a fan base is get behind that choice and say, okay, look, maybe I don't agree with it, but you've been chosen as a keeper, I'm going to support you.
the way I see it, both of those keepers have been great for us the years that they've been with the club. So I think we should be trusting whichever one of them goes in goals. I mean, people, they'll criticise their distribution or they may criticise their command of their area. I mean, we're in League Two. Now, if these keepers were capable of doing better, capable of commanding the area better and better distribution, and with the shot-stopping attributes that they've got, they wouldn't be in League Two. That's why Joe Day was taken by Cardiff City.
Yeah, I think
League Two.
I think as well as that, Nick Townsend has had a rough time with the club. He's been second with Joe Day, second with Tom King, and then second with Joe Day again. And he's not once gone, do you know what, also I'll go to a lower club and have more game time. He's stuck with it, and I do think he's earned his first team place. I think he really has done. At that save at Bristol Rovers, you can't see a Premier League goalkeeper doing that. That was something special, especially against the Gas as well. But no, I think he has been given the crap end of the stick a lot, and to stick with it and be given that chance of Road going up to him and go, you're my number one at the moment, obviously means a lot. And I do think we need to make a choice, but it's that fine line. I don't think you can.
I mean, on the subject of criticism of players, I mean, I took exception mainly to the criticism of Matty Dolan, the way that what he got. I mean, people saying, that we should get rid of him. I mean, really running him down over social media, cheering him as he was taken off. I thought it was a distinct lack of class from that section of supporters, and I don't see the benefit of running these players down. What are you going to achieve by running them down? They play for our club.
No one changes overnight, do they? I'm sure if you asked Matt, he would have gone, no, I didn't want to play like that. It's no secret, and I know Matty would agree, it's no secret he was amazing that day. And I think you're talking about Hartlepool, aren't you? No, there's no escape of the fact he didn't play well. But at the end of the day, he's the person leading your team out and putting the captain's armband on. And that is a lot of pressure. At the end of the day, it's professional football. You'll ask people in the Premier League, they'll go, no, they're a bunch of mud. But at the end of the day, it's professional football, and he's paid a wage to do what he's got to do. Perhaps behind the doors, he's absolutely 10 out of 10 class. I know he has his moments like every other player. Maybe one too many in that Hartlepool game, because, again, he wasn't brilliant. But you can choose a game where, we talked about Joe Day in his moments. You can talk about Telford in his moments. You can talk about Dimitri in his moments. You can go through every single player. At the end of the day, it really doesn't outwin. You're supposed to be your own fans clapping, but I'm sure if your kid wants a photo with Matty Dolan, you come over and do it at the end of the day. That's what you want in a player.
So, and obviously, these players, they're not children, they're smart players. They will know when they go down that tunnel into the changing room if they've had a good half or a bad half. They don't need us lots to stand on the sidelines and kick them when they're down and say, you've had a bad game. I know it's easier said than done, and places like Facebook and Twitter, they're rife with abuse, but
it's horrible, isn't it?
What we need to do is we need to go, look, you didn't have to great this game. We know you're a better player than that. Let's just focus on the next game, and let's just get you playing back to their strengths. It does no good abusing players when they already know they've done bad.
Yeah.
But what I do think is an absolute outrage and a bit of a disgrace is, I remember the first time we saw Roy Livermore play was in the Papa John's Trophy against Plymouth. I don't know if you remember it, Taff. Yeah. And I remember his girlfriend going, my boyfriend deserves to be given a stat. And I think he had something like 300 likes on that post. And on I was going to say the county, on Newport County's fans page, 300 likes is a big deal. Do you know what I mean? And I know some of the things he's saying, and I know his family's on that group chat, being a local lad. And whether it's true or not, we've all made crap decisions again. But we do need to isolate that out and get rid of that, because it could all be lies for all we know. And it's not our place to say whether it is or isn't. If he goes to QPR, goodness knows, I'll be clapping him at that last game of the season.
Of course. Yeah. But the thing is, he seemed to have disappeared, and there were some claims being made that he may have been that he wasn't training right, or that he's had injuries and things like that. But Dad Dave was on the county chat to put down any of them claims. Basically, it's pretty simple. He was frozen out, which I don't understand, because I thought he looked very, very promising. I don't know if the reason why he's been frozen out is because he's been looked at by some of these clubs and they've asked to keep him fresh, and you'll be compensated well for it. I don't know. But
he was playing with the. I didn't establish this week. He's still been with the academy when the academy went away to Leyton Orient. Apparently, he was on the team bus and he did go up with them.
Yeah.
Maybe he's helping in that aspect. We don't know. We can't unless you're in the club that deep. You don't know, do you? You really
at the end of the day, it could just be pretty simple, and Roby just doesn't fancy him at this particular moment. I mean, maybe he just think he's quite right, at this particular moment.
A lot of players in the training ground would be 10 out of 10 class. A lot of players on a pitch would be 10 out of 10 class. Maybe he has had, like every other person in the world, just had a bit of a rubbish run. And maybe he's gone to Roby just so he's not clicking at the moment.
What do you think, Ollie?
James Roby wouldn't have got rid of Roy Livermore, who's an exciting young prospect, a local lad who's got all the tools in his toolbox. He wouldn't get rid of a player like that for no reason. Obviously, something's gone on either on the training pitch or behind closed doors, and I don't know anything. The only people who will know 100% what's gone on is James Roby and Roy Livermore. There's a reason why he's gone, whether it's good or bad. If he is part of the club, then I'm glad to have him. He's an excellent player. But if he has, best of luck to him. And I wish him all the best wherever he ends up.
Of course. So then, guys, I mean, obviously, we kicked this off with talking about what happened to our season, right? So I'm going to give what I think the problem was, and then I'm going to hand over to you guys to give what you think the problem was before we move on to what needs to change in time for next season. Personally, I was a fan of the tactics when we had the three at the back, where Matty Dolan played from the back in the middle of the back three, and having the wing backs further forward rather than leaving us exposed, because they were still getting forward. I felt having the two at the back. I don't think we're Liverpool, and if we were Liverpool, we should have played three up front like Liverpool do. And that's the thing. I mean, I think we flooded up I think it was a 4-2-2-2 playing, and for me, I just don't think as much as I think the quality of the players was there to see. The tactics could have been worthwhile if Roby had a full team of players who we knew would be right for each position, but I think it left us a bit exposed at the back without having that extra one. I mean, we could have had the two up front, the three in midfield, and then the wing backs. So I think that on the tactical side of things, if we'd have kept the back three, I think we probably would have finished in the playoffs. Telford went off the boil. It could have been Baker Richardson's injury that caused that, or it could have just been a complete lack of form on his part. Or what some people have said is that maybe he's already negotiated his move for next season, and that took his focus off because he's been offered a new contract, but there's no word on whether he's signing or not. Then I think one of our best players this season was obviously Finn Azaz. But with Finn Azaz, I think a lot was relied on him. And for a young lad, a lot of our play was put on his shoulders. And there was a lot of times he made 100% the right decision and was absolutely out of this world. And then there were times where I feel he made 100% the wrong decision. And that could be down to a complete lack of experience on his part. I'm not going to put it on Finn Azaz. I'm not going to put it on Telford's lack of goals towards the end of the season. I'm not going to put it all on Roby's tactics. I just think between those three factors, that's where it faltered. Yeah,
I think some positives to look for, especially with next season, is, as you mentioned, the defence. When we play the back system with the wing backs, whether it's Aaron Lewis, Ryan Haynes, or Cameron Norman, we play like a much better team. And I don't think we're far off having the best defence in League Two. We need one mobile centre back, which Josh Pask was meant to be, and unfortunately he's got injured. He's not been able to play. If we get that centre back in the summer, we tie down Ryan Haynes, which I know might be an unpopular decision with some fans. We've got a very solid back line who are capable of stopping goals at being scored. They're capable of getting the ball out to the midfield, and they're capable of creating chances passing it up the field. So the defence is definitely there. As you mentioned with Flynn, the creative duty this season was really shared between him and Ollie Cooper. And then Ollie Cooper, unfortunately, gets this injury, and then it's just Flynn and James Waite. I think we're going to have a hard time replacing Flynn and Ollie Cooper in the summer, but it's not an impossible job, especially with how well James Waite is coming to the team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think James Waite has shown a lot of promise, and next season I think he'll kick on. Kian, well, where's the verdict lie with you on our season then, mate?
I think if I've always to sum up, I think it started really well and obviously ended really disappointing. I don't think there's anything to pick on and blame. I just think, look, I went away to Scunthorpe, and this is when I think you could say Taff was at his prime, and he was just had like two men on him at a time. Every corner, every play, he had two men on him, and he was not pocketed in a sense, because he did play well, but people not ready. People was just more wary of him. I don't think we can put it down to one thing. I just think it just didn't click, and
it was clicking well before it though, wasn't it?
Yeah. I just think something did happen.
I feel like a lot of teams definitely became aware of how prolific Telford was being, and it's fair to say that a few teams had changed their tactics to try and focus on Telford.
But I don't think we did. I don't think if we were 1-0 down at half time, I don't think it would have gone, let's completely change it up. I think it was just keep at it, we will score, keep at it, we will score. And you look at Sutton, we dominated that game from start to finish. I know we gave away a penalty, but which I don't think was a penalty, but if you're a Sutton fan, you say it's a penalty. If you're a Newcastle fan, you say it's not. But nothing was changed. We were still playing that same thing, but you need, we're going to make that final pass here, but it's going to be different, and it might have gone back in the net. But we was just playing the same game as it was just attack. No, you need to build up, forward, change. You just needed something different.
Teams changed how they played to try and shut us down, and we didn't change how we played to try and counteract that. We just played football that we know, the football that Rugby was comfortable with playing. And I think that's something that over time it will improve. You will start to see how, we can beat certain defensive.
I do just think we are unlucky. Think we are unlucky.
Yeah. I think we just hit a bit of bad form, and that got into the players' heads. And the Swindon game, on another day, I'm not being funny, it was a great day, but on another day, we probably lose that game because
definitely.
They missed some glorious chances.
I just think some games we do just hit every top corner, and it just doesn't go in. I just do think we are unlucky on that aspect.
It was a perfect storm of things going against us. We had a ton of injuries come in. We had probably the most competitive League 2 season we've seen since formation. And
brilliant.
Just James Rowbury, I'm not having a dig at him, but he is a manager who is learning on the job. He's come into his first managerial role. He's been in the job for less than 200 days. He's still learning tactics. He's still learning how to take control of the match, how to shut the match down when they're 1-0 at the 85th minute. It's just 3 seasons down the line. If we had this season again, we would be by far and away in the automatic promotions. It was just the perfect storm of problems.
I think he is the answer. I think Rowbury is the answer.
Oh, that's definitely.
I'm 100% behind him.
100%.
As a person, I think I absolutely love the bloke in the aspect of he does generally give us all. He's there. At the end of the day, he has said, "I am a fan."
Yeah,
he is a fan, and I think he's the answer. And he is probably it's different from what we've always gone. We've always gone from experienced managers and someone to take over. You had Wesley, who we thought experienced manager, he sorted out. He didn't. Then we had Flynn take over as a temporary, and it worked. And now we've got something completely different. new, young, fresh. And I think next season we will go up, and it will be fun. He is the answer, and I hope he's not going to QPR like Sky Bet says.
Oh, where's that coming from? Bloody hell. Just one thing I want to touch on, which Kian has kind of brought up. But I see lots of players trying to compare the start Roby's had compared to what Flynn's done. Not every manager is going to come into a job and have the same impact Flynn did when we had the Great Escape. What Flynn did that season was miles above what 99% of managers in England could do. Roby is coming into this job. He's going to lose games. He's going to draw. He's going to make bad decisions. Comparing him to Flynn does Roby a disservice. We need to take him in isolation and go, this is the manager. What's he doing? Don't compare him to other managers. Just let him learn and
Let him do his thing, innit?
Yeah. And let him do his thing and let him become the manager he's going to become.
We had the Flynn era. You know, I mean, there's no point comparing Roby to Flynn. We've had the Flynn era. It's over now. You know, it's the Roby era now. And he's his own manager and he'll do things his way. But I like what he did at the beginning of his time when he said, evolution, not revolution. He's going to grow on the work that's already been done. And I think he did that. And then he installed his own tactics and we started winning games and looking like a real class outfit, which is why it just frustrates and baffles me how the season ended the way that it did for us.
If I could be beside, if a guy come down to me now and goes, you can be an assistant manager by Flynn or Roby, it's all the pros and cons. You can go, well, Flynn's got the experience, but Roby would show you the path he took to become a first team manager. I think there's so many pros and cons to them. I think they are just as good as each other. I do think at the time, I remember saying this time 4 or 5 years ago at the Great Escape, he's the answer. And we gave him time, and I think if that Morgan goal didn't go in or that Tranmere goal go in, he would have been the answer. And I think it'll just be exactly the same Roby. I think he just is the answer, and it will click, and we will have the bad luck will turn into good soon enough.
I'm sure.
Trust the process.
Trust the process, yeah.
I mean, we're due some good karma soon, ain't we, guys? So that sets us up nicely to.
It'd be nicer if Morgan come down.
Yeah. Well, obviously they can't get relegated now. That's it.
They justified.
The season's over.
Shocking.
But no, I had it all geared up for the Great Leapfrog and everything. But
if you lot could be in the Amber Army group chat, the amount of memes and images Taff had created for Morgan coming down, it's a shame they're all going to waste the Great Leapfrog and all that.
But the thing is, because they stayed up and we stayed down, it can happen.
It's worse that he was in charge, though, isn't it? It's worse that he
Derek Adams went back. So Derek Adams went back, kept them up. What a bastard!
If I could choose, he is in my top 3 most hated sports persons out there. I can think of 3, and he's on there.
Yeah, he's made it to mine as well, mate. Don't you worry. So obviously we've looked back on a lot of things. It's time to look forward now, guys. So Ollie, I believe you have a list of players who we have for next season.
Yeah. So the players we have contracted at least for next season is Joe Day and Nick Townsend in goals. We've got Mickey Demetriou, Joe Woodowis, Tracy Farquharson, Lewis Hall, the young left back who's gone out on loan, Aaron Lewis and Cameron Norman. So practically all the defenders bar Josh Pask and Brian Haynes, who is probably more than likely can be offered a new contract. Midfield-wise, we've got Matt Dolan, Scott Bennett, Lewis Twamley, who I'm interested to see how he fits into this county side, considering we've not really played with wingers. Gene Sweet, and then up front we've got Lewis Collins and Ryan Hillier. So we've got the spine of a good squad there. We've got pretty much all the defenders we already have. We've got the experience in midfield of Matt Dolan and Scott Bennett. And then we've got that youthful element of Gene Sweet and Lewis Collins at top. So we're not a million miles off seeing what a James Roby Newport County is going to look like.
I'm going to throw something in there. Lewis Collins, right? I know he's a forward, but do you think that he could be used in a similar way to James Waite next season as more of an attacking midfielder than a striker?
I was seeing something similar to what Taff said on. It was a few home games ago. It was after he had that excellent performance when he ran something like 13k or something. He can definitely cover the pitch, and he's got that burst of pace, and he's got the vision. He's got all the attributes you look for in an attacking midfielder. And if you put a reliable goal scorer in front of him, he can give that goal scorer the service. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it be something we experiment with. Whether it works or not, who knows? But it's definitely something we should look into.
Because it's going to be a bit of an overhaul job on the midfield, isn't it? And obviously, we're not going to have many strikers either. I mean, I don't know if Courtney Baker-Richardson's going to be here next year. Fisher, Telford, of course.
Yeah.
I pulled a very shocked face when he said we only had Lewis Collins and Ryan Hillier, because it feels like we've got so many strikers, we don't know what to do with them.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of options. We've got Fisher, Hillier, Collins, Telford, and Baker-Richardson. So I can't believe we only got 2 left. It's crazy, but
and Timmy as well. Well, he was obviously
Timmy,
on.
Yeah, God, that's what I was so shocked then when he just said that, because there's only 2. I was like, wow.
Don't have many midfielders, really, do we? We got Waite. So in midfield, as I said, Twamley, Waite, Dolan, and Bennett.
Yeah, that's all we've got, and all of those contracts expire next year, except for Joe Day, who's been signed to 2024. So,
Bobby Wilmot signed the contract, didn't he?
Oh, Wilmot as well. There, there's transfer markets. I believe doing me in here, not update there. So we have got Wilmot, but I see Baker-Richardson signing a contract extension. He's really taken to the club. He's really enjoyed his football, and he's playing good football as well. I don't see Fish again a contract. I think he's just a little bit on the older side. I think Roby's trying to take us into a younger kind of Newport County.
Yeah.
So I don't see how he fits into it, but I wouldn't be opposed to him staying. He's good cover.
What about Kevin Ellison then? Do you see him a non-playing role for him for next season?
I know there's a lot of coaching. I believe it's with the under-23s. It's a tough one because obviously the big thing with it is he's 42, 43. He can run about for 20 minutes, but he's not someone we need to be looking at.
If Michael Flynn was our manager, I could have seen games where Ellison would have made more of an appearance, because I think games like Exeter, we would have brought him on. 1-0 down, we would have brought him on. I see games where, like Bradford home, that he would have, not because of Derek Adams, because it was his game. Tough, scrappy, hard games where Kevin Ellison would come on, wind him up, and just nick a goal. I think if Flinny was our manager, the only thing is you could be 100% sure we would have seen a lot more of Kevin Ellison. It's like it's worked before. You've seen Oldham, scrappy, tough, hard, getting 0-0. He come on and scored.
Yeah.
I honestly think that if that's the only thing I could be 100% sure of, if Flinny was in charge. But then again, Roby's looked at more options. I think Flinny would always stick to 80th minute, bring him on. He's tried Lewis Collins. He has tried Ellison against Sutton. He has tried Fisher. He's definitely more trial and error.
Yeah, I mean, you got to try these players out and see them in game time to really make an opinion. I mean, you see them in training, you see them around the players who they know, and they're their friends and everything like that. But you got to see them against opponents to really see the real side of them. Because you get some players, we hear that they're so good in training, but they go into the game and they're absolutely useless. Vice versa. You've got players who don't train well, but they go out onto the pitch for you and they work bloody miracles against the opposition. I mean, it just swings around, and the proof will be the pudding at the end of the day.
Is Brighton not on our list for next season?
Who? Sorry.
Who?
Bright.
I believe so. It's a very interesting one with Twamley, Hillier and Woodworth, because the club never announced how long their contracts were. They only announced that they had signed 13 contracts. And back in 2019, Lewis Collins signed the same contract, and it was a 2-year deal. So you have to imagine that they're here next season, and then their contract's out in the summer. I don't know how the contracts work down in the academy, but you would imagine that Harrison Bright is still going to be here next season, along with a handful of other players.
Caradogan as well. I mean, Caradogan's been making the bench of late, hasn't
he? He's been very impressive for the academy, and I can see him probably get a first team loan next season. I think this season is the breakthrough for Twamley, Woodworth and Hillier, how they get into the squad, whether they can break through. It's going to be a lot easier for Ryan Hillier because, as I mentioned, we've got no options up front. We've got him and Collins. Woodworth is going to be a lot harder because we've got that defined midfield, that defined defence, but he's definitely got the ability to break into it.
So, looking at who's going to be playing for us next season, outside of the ones you already got contracted, now there's players who are still with us who contracts are running out. You mentioned Haynes being one of them. I'm trying to think who else is in our squad. Courtney Senior is one of them. Now, it's strange with Courtney Senior. He signed a 1-year deal, got himself injured, and isn't figuring. I'd like to think we may see him once or twice. I doubt if he'll be there for tomorrow.
My head dropped when you said him there because I genuinely thought he would be the next best thing, and I think he very well could have been if it wasn't for the injury.
And if it wasn't for the injury, what impact could he have made during the season? Could his impact have won us a couple more games and put us into that mix?
Yeah. Well, the situation with Courtney Senior is I know he's been training with the first team squad for about a month now. So Rotary going to have a basic idea of what he can offer to the side, what he can do in training. So the contract will be broadly based on that. Whether he starts these next 2 games, and knowing my luck, he well now, is all whether he gets a new contract. Personally, I'd give him a 1-year deal, see what he can do, let him have a run out. But there's reasons for letting him go and keeping him on.
One of the reasons, Kian's dropped out, unfortunately. We'll see if we can get him back. But we keep on the subject of Courtney Senior. Now, he's only 21, 22. I think he's be 22 now. That alone would be a good reason to give him a year's contract, I think.
I'm going to talk to you about it. He's 24 coming up to 25. He'll be 25 going into the next season.
He was younger than that. But it's still relatively young, isn't it?
Well, he's relatively young when you compare him to Kevin Ellison, but no, he's definitely got a few years of his prime left, and this injury probably hasn't helped him out a ton, but you've got to give him a chance. He's probably be given a chance in training to show what he can do, and Roby's going to have a good idea of what he can do. Yeah,
and hopefully he's shined enough so we can keep him, because I was really looking forward to seeing him this season. I was really gutted when he got that long-term injury. But one of the things that's been emerging is the rumour that we're meant to be putting in a bid to sign Josh Pask on a permanent deal when his Coventry contract runs out at the end of the season. Would that be a good move in your eyes?
I think we need a player like Josh Pask, but we don't need Josh Pask. He's got the mobility, he's got the pace, he's got everything you need. But what he's also got is a fairly bad injury record, which we've obviously witnessed in this short spell of time where he's done his hamstring and he's had a few little knocks and bumps. I would keep him as an option, and if it gets to the last week of the window and we're down on our luck, we can see if he's still available. But I think we need to be looking at someone who's a bit more reliable, who can play a full season, who's maybe got a bit of experience with League Two, and kind of go on from there.
Yeah. Oh, well, it depends who's available. And, I got a feeling that James is going to be utilising his connections next season a lot with Cardiff, potentially. But then any other managers who he's worked with, any other coaches that he's worked with, Carl Surrant as well has got connections. And Daniel Kelly, apparently, Daniel Kelly has been all over the place looking at players. Apparently, we've been skating players in Scotland, in Ireland, in the Welsh League and everything. So he's been doing some work to make sure our recruitment's right for next season. The board minutes were released from February recently on email. I had a look at them, and they said that the budget has already been agreed. So I'd imagine the recruitment plan is already in place. They would have had two plans, obviously, one for if we got promoted and one for if we didn't. Obviously, the budget and the recruitment process is going to be for not getting promoted. So hopefully that plan has got some good contingents in there. I'd like to think so, at least, anyway.
Yeah, I don't think we're far off from the squad we need. We've obviously spoken about the centre-back and whether Josh Pask can come in and fill. I think we need a bit of an overhaul in midfield. Obviously, we've got Jake Kane leaving. I'm not too worried about that because we've got Scott Bennett and Robbie Wilmot who can come in and fill that hole. It's really Finners and Ollie Cooper leaving the issue. We've got James Reed who can fill in, but he needs at least another player or two to help him fill that creative void that's going to be left. And obviously, we need some strikers.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to need to play the loan market well. I think anyone who does well in League Two generally tends to play the loan market well.
Yeah.
And I think we got Kian back.
We've got Kian back.
Let's get him in on this one then.
Sweet, I'm there.
Yeah, good man. So Kian, we're talking recruitment for next season, and we're on the subject of the loan market. Obviously, we want to see your face as well if we can, mate, not your torso.
You're not seeing me?
No, bump your camera up a little bit more, mate. A little bit more upwards. That's it. Yeah, there we go. Actually, no, put it back. No.
Oh, I don't care. I'm there. We're not. I'm looking in my.
See half your face. We can see half your face at the moment.
Wow.
That's a bit better. All right. We're going to waste too much time. So
I'll do that. If you see my tongue.
I know we need to see you, mate. This is a video.
Bear with me. Hold on. Let me try. It was. Oh God, I'm having a mess. Hold on. Why don't I try this? How's that?
There we go.
That'll do nicely. There we go. So we're talking about how we're going to play the loan market now, okay? Obviously, we're going to lose three big midfielders in Kane, Cooper, and Azaz because they're only on loan. Obviously, Abraham isn't a big loss. And then Josh Pask, apparently, we're meant to be signing on a permanent deal. The only other player then is Rob Street. And Rob Street, as good as he looks, he didn't have enough of an impact for us to really sort of want to have him back. I don't know what he's done now. He's frozen on us. He probably could have dropped right there. He's gone. Oh, God, Kian, come on, mate. So let's pick up on that then. Newport County are very much a desirable club to send your young players on loan to. If you look at the successes of us loaning Ben White, even before that, Josh Sheehan did well on loan at Newport County, as did Rhys Healy. Rhys Healy really kicked on in his career on the back of playing for Newport County. Ollie McBurney as well. But then since we've had the Flynn era and beyond, we had the likes of Ben White, of course, Antoine Semenyo, Tyreek Bakinson, Cameron Pring, who have all done well with us, George Nurse, who've played at a higher level than League Two on the back of loan to us.
I'd even took what's the Millwall right back? Danny McNamara. He's a regular for Millwall, and not just with the players we've had on loan, the players that we've kind of taken time to develop as well. You know, Regan Poole's the obvious one. He's at MK Dons now, I want to say. Dan Butler's playing with Peterborough. So
plays for Lincoln now.
Lincoln. I knew it was one of the two. I briefly remember him being at MK Dons. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But we've definitely got a good system here to develop players, whether they're young or they're a bit older. So there was an article in the Argus where James Rowbury had said that we've got Premier League and Championship clubs offering us players. So it goes to show that we're clearly doing something right at the club.
So when we're getting offered these players, what we got to make sure of is that they're the right players. Now, it's all well and good that, you know, say like Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, clubs like that are going to say, yeah, take so-and-so on loan. But it's like, well, hold on. Who are they? You know, what was it? You know, what's their strengths? What's their weaknesses? What do they need to develop? I mean, it's all well and good, you know, sending us players, but they need to be right for us as well as us being able to develop them. It's got to be, it's a thing with loans, it's got to work for both clubs or it's no good. If it doesn't work for both clubs, it's pointless.
It's important to remember as well, in League Two, you can only have 5 loan players in your match day squad. So you've got to make sure it's the right players.
Yeah.
To their credit, you can tell that Darren Kelly and James Rowbury, and maybe even to an extent Carl Saran,
I called Daniel Kelly earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing that. It is Darren Kelly, yeah.
It's either Darren or Daniel. One of the two, whoever it is.
Excuse me, Dave.
I Mr. Kelly, we'll call him. You know that these three people are going to go through a list of loanees with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that we get the right players to fit the positions we need, to fit the tactic and the kind of style of football that Rowbury's going to want to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course, you would have had many meetings with. I'm going to call him DK for now. It is Darren. It is Darren Kelly, yeah. So he's going to have been, you know, sat in meetings with Rowbury. Rowbury's going to say, look, you know, for next season, I want this type of player who can do this for this position, and then for that position, I want this type of player who'll do this, and that's what he's going to be basing his skating on at the end of the day. So that's I know having Darren at the club was an annoyance to Flynny, but Rowbury seems to be in a position where he wants to make the most of that support that he's going to get. I think Flynny was a bit of an all-rounder. Flynny had, you know, he had his tactics sorted, he had his recruitment the way he wanted it, and I don't think he liked it when the recruitment was half taken out of his hands.
Yeah,
Rowbury's very much more of a tactician, but knows the type of player he wants, but seems to be willing to work with people to get that player rather than going out and grabbing someone who he thinks that player is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's definitely a lot more open to the help, and I think that's one of the big criticisms Michael Flynn had. He was a bit arrogant for term of phrase. He felt like he knew what to do and he could do everything. And I think not to talk too much about Michael Flynn, but at Walsall now, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes with it, because you look at Walsall and you think that's the Newport County 2. That he's got Michael Flynn, he's got Wayne Hatswell, he's going to have a budget. It's going to be interesting to see how Walsall play next season. But obviously for Newport County, we've got an extensive contact book between Rowbury and Darren Kelly. So we should be seeing a high caliber of players come through the doors and into the team.
I mean, here's a question for you then. If you could have one lone player back next season for the full season, which one would you take?
I think you'd have to go and say Finn Azaz, because not just what he's done for us this season and how well he's taken, and he's such a versatile all-round attacking midfielder. He can dribble, he can shoot, he can find a pass. He can find passes that I think even top-level players couldn't find. And the way he plays his football, he's such a young, composed man. He really knows his way on a football pitch. And he's the most excited I've been about the player since Scott Twine. I think I don't even think it would be wrong to say he's done better than what Scott Twine has done for us this season.
In Scott Twine, there's an obvious one that we missed earlier from the successful loan spells players have had. That's But if it was me, I would take Ollie Cooper over Azaz. For me, Azaz for next season, I don't. Well, I mean, I know I said you could take if you could take any of them back, but I think Azaz is going to be would be too much of a luxury for a League Two team for next season. Yeah. And like this season, too much is going to be put on his head or his shoulders to carry the creative side of our attack. I think Ollie Cooper is just one of those energetic players that can run with the ball, run back and try and win the ball back, and basically will leave everything out on the pitch for you. I think he'd be more suited to League Two and more suited to James Roby's game next season than what Azaz would be.
He gets his head down and he cracks on with his football. He knows the game's 90 minutes. He's just like, right, I get in there, I do what I've got to do, score goals, that's it, bang. That's what we need in the loanies that are coming in now. And it's going to be hard to find a player who is like a Flynn Azaz, an Ollie Cooper, a Scott Twine. But it's not impossible.
Yeah. So, big question then. I think I know what the answer is going to be. And unfortunately, that's probably going to be the same answer for me. But is Telford on his way out?
There's a small part of me that hopes he's still going to stay and listen to an offer. We've tabled an offer for him. We've laid out what we want to do with him, but I feel like he's off. And if I'm being 100% honest, he's probably deserved this move from, the time he had with Flynn being transfer listed this summer, and then having a dream season and cracking on. He deserves a move up the pyramid. As long as he doesn't go to Wrexham, I'm happy for him.
Oh yeah, yeah. But they doesn't get promoted first, haven't they? But So with Dom Telford then, right? You would say, maybe he owes us a season for us giving him the opportunity to do what he's done this year. But we brought him in January last season, and he barely figured. And the season he was frozen out. And from what I hear, he was about to sign for AFC Fylde. He was actually about to sign for AFC Fylde, and then something fell through, and he ended up playing. I think only like a day or two later in the Papa John's Trophy. And gave that great performance. It's like, hold on a minute, maybe we should stop him from going anywhere now and have another look at him. And the rest is history, as they say. So I wouldn't even say he really owes us anything. He earned his way back into the team himself. Yeah, he fought his way back to that team himself, and he kept himself in that team by scoring those goals. So I wouldn't even say he owes us anything. I think if he gets his move, he's earned it through his own hard work. Not because Newport County were good to him.
And the whole idea of players owing things to club, in an ideal world, that's how it works. We keep Telford for another year and it's all sunshine and rainbows and whatnot. But footballers have a very short career. I want to say he's 26, 25 or 26.
I think 24, 25, actually, Telford.
Oh, there's me wrong with ages, and we're 1 for 1 on that one, Taff.
Yeah, I'll take that.
But it's a very short career, and we're not going to be able to give him astronomical wages. Football, it shouldn't be a money sport, but it is. The man's got to make a living. So if there's a club that's going to offer him more money, the chance to play League One Championship football, you can't fault him for taking it.
No, absolutely not. So, to wrap things up then, mate, I think I know what the answer is going to be. Would you say this season has been a good season or a bad season on full reflection? I mean, I know there's still 2 games left. We're in 11th at the moment. We could still finish as high as 9th. Would you say that this season's been a failure? Or would you say this season's been in some way a success?
Just one thing before we jump into that, I have set year 25. Fuck me, Taff. 2-0. No, I don't think it's been a failure. I think people are expecting far too much. I know there was a point where we were third and we were looking strong, and we probably should have gone up automatically. We had the changeover, we have Robbery come in, we have all these things. I don't think it's a failure. I think it's a building block, and it gives us great foundations for what we're going to do next season.
Yeah, absolutely. I would call this season, I wouldn't call it a failure, because we were in the mix.
Yeah.
And as fans who've been through seasons like the Great Escape of the season before, who've lost their club years ago, who've been in non-league for a long time, being in League Two and being in the mix for promotion again, being as we tend to be in the conversation more often than we're not. I'm never going to be disappointed with that. I'm disappointed by the way we fell out of contention, but
yeah.
It's just one of them things. I wouldn't call this season a failure by any stretch, but it's a bit too painful and a bit too raw still for me to try and make a success out of it.
Yeah. I know we're still far off and we've got a transfer window and all this to go through, but what is realistically expecting from us next season? Because I think far too many of our fans are labelling us as this mid-table, lucky to not be in a relegation scrap kind of aiming side. I think we're much better than that. I think we're a team who are comfortable to be in the mix of promoting and playoffs.
Yeah, I think so. I think being in the top half, we're good. Anyone who says, "Oh, we should finish mid-table," or we should be in a relegation scrap, or as long as we're not in a relegation scrap, I think we're beyond that now. The Great Escape was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago, a lot has changed since then. The club has grown an awful lot since then, on and off the field. And one of the things I'll say for next season, if we get the right players in, as long as we can maintain that pitch that we've got now,
yeah,
we'll be able to play the football that we need to do well. And hey, look, let's see where it goes next year. Give Robbery the backing that he needs. Give him the opportunity to put his own team together. We see where we go. It's a shame we lost Kian then. Obviously, it would have been nice to have got his final thoughts on this, but obviously he contributed a fair bit into the chat. Hopefully, everybody watching would have enjoyed what we all had to say, and say, if you do enjoy this could be a regular thing if the response is right. So, Ollie, hopefully we'll see you more often. Really appreciate your time, and thanks for being here with us.
No, thanks for having me on, and thanks for the patience, everyone. I will be back soon. Signing a new contract with the Amber Army.
Yeah, there we go, mate. Yeah, we'll be looking forward to Ollie's new content coming up. I mean, we haven't quite decided what it's going to be yet, but if you guys got any ideas for Ollie, feel free to put them in the comments, of course. So yeah, thanks all for watching. Thanks again, Ollie. Thanks again, Kian, if you're watching this back. And we sign out in my usual way. Cheerio for now, and as always, up the county.